AIM-listed gold producer Scotgold, which produced its first gold back in late 2020, has been doing well this recent period, and indeed through the April and May period it produced record production. It's also partway through receiving an injection from investment fund management company Fern Wealth. Joining us now from Zug in Switzerland is Scotgold's chief executive, Phillip. Phil, good to talk to you again. We last spoke a few months ago when you were talking about how the year is likely to develop, and here we are now sitting on this record gold production report. Tell us more about what's been happening, because it does fulfill your expectations. Did it exceed them?
I firmly believe it actually is, hence why we made the comments that we feel very, very confident that we'll be on the top end, if not probably above our guidance for this quarter. So as we spoke about last time, yes, we've been developing hard. We've been doing all the right things, trying to square away the business, trying to get it to be quite a solid performing unit from the mine all the way through to the process plant. We understand that our history has been dogged with certain underperformances in certain areas and the like, but we've been busy to knock that on its head and move forward with a very positive view. And as a result, as I spoke to you last time, we gave ourselves a target, we set out a guidance, and we're going to probably be at the top end or above that.
Of course, we're talking here about the Cononish mine. We already know it's high grade, so whatever you pull out of the ground does have an ultimate reward. Just explain what your message is to shareholders in the grand scheme of things and the long-term picture, because clearly we still have a little bit of a way to go before we get on to the next stage.
That is correct. So the original mine was always designed to start in a phased approach. So we've successfully achieved what's called phase one, which is cash generative. It is got an 18-year mine life at this particular run rate. But because we've put some capital into the mine and we put capital into the front end of the process plant, we want to and believe that when we take it to phase two, we get a higher cash fixed cost unit within the business itself will just become much more cash generative. We'll shorten the mine life to 9 years as was originally planned, but that will enable us to be able to pay back our loan providers quickly and move very fast into either an exploration campaign, because we have seen gold in our vein itself, in the Cononish vein, appear in areas that we didn't think it would. We need to develop out into those areas and drill out in those areas and explore into those areas, and we believe we'd probably almost double the size of the vein if we do that. And there are also other regional exploration areas around the actual Cononish vein that also show exactly the same sort of telltale signs that how the Cononish vein was found. So we'd like to put some drill holes into those areas as well, and then make it go from a 299,000 ounce company potentially up to the 500,000, or even push further into the 1 million ounce mark. So yes, next year, once we become far more cash generative than we are, because we already are now, we'll be able to just have the luxurious position to be able to say which direction we want to go in at that point.
And of course, part of this push towards that next phase is this injection of money from wealth managers, Fern. Just explain more about what this money is doing. I think you've got around about 1.9 million on the balance sheet already of the 3 million that's been promised by these new investors.
That's correct.
Is this all going to be used to take you through to that new and more rewarding phase?
That is correct. That is the whole intent. So there's a range of items that we need to use that money for. Obviously, we have the option, we could self-fund a lot of these things, but it'll just take a lot longer. So yes, we're very lucky and very fortunate that Fern Wealth provided us this money to be able to turbo boost, so to speak, our growth. So yes, we're using that money immediately for the purchase of our thickener, which is going to be installed. It's actually arriving on site this week, and will be commissioned and installed and running by August. Then also we're using those funds for an ore sorter and for mine optimization. Inside a mine as such as ours, there is just so many areas that we need to use for inputting in infrastructure and to have much better resource definition alike. So Yes, that's where all that money is going. And as a result, like I said, it will just turbocharge us, enable us to get straight up to the phase two. And why that is so important is because at that point, we firmly believe we'll be generating around about £24 million of fund by annually, in 2023.
Okay, you've given the big picture and the sort of longer term picture and how you expect to move ahead in the grand scheme of things. But I just want to talk a little bit more about what's happening for the rest of this year. You're talking earlier about your indication of milestones, proving to investors you can get to them successfully, and in some cases beyond that what you had originally thought was going to be the outcome. What do you see as the next small steps you're taking, which will take you through to the end of this year, that we can judge your performance by?
Right. So Q1 was the quarter, let's say, that we had to have, which was our development quarter. It was tough. It was extremely tough, but we had to have it, where we opened up the mine itself. Quarter two was the quarter that enabled us to reward in those efforts. Going into quarter three with the thickener installed, it will just be us going a lot faster with much higher grades of gold. And going into quarter four will be the stabilization of that with more stopes, more opening up of more areas of gold. And then finally, by Q1, late Q1 of 2023, with the ore sorter, we'll have that last big jump in throughput with, again, the mine opening up and having higher tonnages and higher units of gold. It just means that we'll have a lot more ounces of gold production on an annualized basis next year.
Yeah, I want to bring up a share price chart if I can. You'll know this, the shape of this very well. And we have been moving sideways. Technically, we're getting to a little bit of a point in terms of falling highs but rising lows. And there's going to be a breakout at some point here. What do you say about where the stock price is likely to go? You've got a market cap of 42.59 million at current levels at 69 pence a share. What's it pricing in? Because you are talking a lot about a very bullish outlook and ultimately a high rewarding sort of environment for investors. That's what the sort of picture you're painting. Where should the share price be to reflect that improved outlook?
Well, our research notes and internal work has all suggested the £1.50, £1.60 mark is naturally where our share price should be. So we are quite heavily discounted. And I firmly believe the reason why we're heavily discounted is we have been in this ramp-up phase for a significant amount of time, starting from late 2020 until now. We just have had to do a lot of this work to open up the mine and to get the process plant to work. But as soon as we are able to put together a couple of quarters, maybe one, maybe two, of good, stable, solid production, and we keep on this message that we are pushing through to our investors, which is, as we say we're going to do something, we go and we deliver, and we work tirelessly to do that. If our investors are with us and believe in us, and we put together those quarters of solid production, I firmly believe our share price will then start to kick up and become closer to where it naturally needs to be. And then on top of that, if I then start using some funds for exploring and show that we're not just a 299 or 300,000 ounce gold mine producer, that we could be potentially up to the 500,000 or to the 1 million, then I think that will excite our investors severely.
One final question is the gold price. I know you're not a gold analyst, so I'm not going to ask you for your own opinions, but what do you work to in terms of chief executive's view on how the company operates and the gold price and where things are likely to go?
Right. So one of the beauties of having a very high grade gold mine as we do is that, yes, we make a lot of money. We're quite cash generative. Like I said, at our phase one, which is half of our design tonnage rate, we make cash. At the phase two level, we'll be also making, obviously a lot more. As my opinion, I think gold is probably going to break the 2,000 market, eventually. But on a long-term basis, probably between 1,800 and 1,900 is reasonable. But we make good cash margins at that rate. I think my peers would probably struggle, depending on how much capital I'm likely to put through. But the message I always want to try to explain to my investors is that in a very high-grade gold mine like us, we will be able to go through the lows much better than others. and we will be able to make a lot more cash than others because simply we've just got a lot more gold grade. So that is why I stick to the plan of next year to explore, if we possibly can, with more cash or with that cash that we generate, to just find out how much bigger we are, because I also believe that investors want to see the size. So not only are we be cash generative, if we can push, like I said, up to the 500,000 ounces or to the 1,000,000 ounces, we then become a real serious player that is very cash generative. Then I think our share price will just go through the roof.
Phil, thanks very much indeed for your time. It's been a pleasure to catch up with you again, and look forward to hearing more from you as the rest of the year develops. Thanks for your time. I should just say, at the time of recording, the gold price is 1857, just for some sort of context of what Philip Day was saying. That's Philip Day, who's the Chief Executive of Scotgold. For more videos from us here at IGTV, join us on Twitter at IGCom, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.